Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you are all well. You amazing, beautiful, wonderful people. And this is video 2 of 2. So if you've missed the first one, go back. I know there's a possibility you may have missed it because, after all, it's Valentine's Day. And you could all be having a lay-in. Anyway, did I say you look amazing? Well, you do. And I hope I'm not the only one to tell you today because it is Valentine. But at least if I am, someone did tell you and they actually meant it. So what are we talking about? Well, I'm a little bit late to the party because I live in the UK and everything in the UK with respect of, well, not everything, but a lot of things, it takes a little bit of time for it to filter through. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about the Paramount Plus Cyber Sleuths Idaho 4 extravaganza. Yes, it's taken me this long to actually watch it, take notice of it, and decide how I would deliver it to you folks. And trust me, this isn't going to be a long video because the one thing I did take from it, it seems to be a bit outdated. A lot of the stuff that was in there, they were talking about stuff that has been and gone and surpassed and never happened and all sorts of things. But the main thing that I think I took from it is that this was again another real attempt at a hit piece on the people who cover true crime cases, and in particular the Idaho 4 case. The people who they chose to be on it. What can I say? What can I say? People know, do you know what I mean? I don't watch a lot of channels. I don't watch a lot of channels at all. Some of them because I don't want to watch them. Some of them because I just simply don't have the time. And, you know, the ones that I do watch, it's because I like them as a person. Jules, for instance, Jules of all trades, I think she is great at what she does. She's not everyone's cup of tea, just like I'm not everyone's cup of tea. And for those who we are not their cup of tea, I say to you with all my heart, tough. Suck me. Anyway, so look, the one thing what I did find a little bit odd is that this person, this Jeff, there's a man called Jeff. There's a man called Jeff, and this Jeff reaches out to Steve Gonsalves. It gets on the phone, rings him, basically gives him a story about how he had a backpack. He was told to get rid of this backpack because it would tie somebody to something hairy, not like a cat or anything like that, obviously a crime. But it got to the point where this Jeff had turned around and said that he wanted money. It all came down to money at the end of the day. He was claiming to have information about the Idaho 4 case, that this person who he had connections to and was in conversation with was none other than Brian Kohberger's co-defendant. Obviously, from a legal standpoint, he's not a co-defendant, is he? Because he's not been caught, but he's apparently the other person who was involved in this crime. But what makes me laugh is that there's a lot of people, and look, we're doing a live later on this evening, and we're going to talk about this, you know, Brian Kohberger +1 situation, the sort of the pros and against it, and sort of bring it to a conclusion because I've got thoughts and feelings on it, and I'm sure many of you do. But this seems to be the narrative that many people are pushing. And I think what they've done is, you know, when I said about Brian Kohberger being the square peg trying to go into a round hole, that's because when you look at Brian Kohberger and you look at the crime, they don't really gel. So in order to make Brian Kohberger fit that narrative, you have to drop somebody else into the equation. So it makes it easier to keep Brian Kohberger connected to this situation, but take away the fact that it doesn't really make sense with him there. You've got a situation where someone had gone into a home. It would seem that they either had prior knowledge of the layout of this house, whether the doors were locked, whether they were unlocked, who was in what room, what time to go there, what was the best sort of time to go there, who was likely to be there when they went in there, bearing in mind that this was a house that you could walk into and there could be 100 people, for instance, but on this one night just happened to be nobody, apart from, you know, the 6 people who I don't know. It's bizarre, isn't it? Bearing in mind this was a football night and drinks had been flowing and so on and so forth. And was it just the night previously? There'd been many, many people at this house, apparently, so I've been told. But no, it would seem that, yeah, in order to put Brian Kohberger in there as this person who's gone into this house very, very quickly, seemingly with the idiocy in the background of driving his own car, getting caught on camera, the phone situation, the knife sheath situation, DNA situation, all of those sort of things, but still the skill to go over there, get in there, get out of there, and do it relatively quickly with some degree of skill, what we had been told previously that he just didn't seem to have. Filet-o-fish. But, look, Paramount Plus, what was it all about? It was basically, like I say, it was more of a hit on the crime niche, if you like. They were talking about the Idaho 4 case. They were talking about some of the people and how they felt about the case. They were bringing people into it. Like I noted that Jules had said about WSU Kim, and WSU Kim, who was on Paramount Plus, was not the WSU Kim that had been shown to Jules by Daniel over at Drunk Turkey. So it makes you wonder, well, what the fuck is going on? But to be fair, we know what's going on. Whenever these cases come up, and this has been a learning curve for me, you know, we get so many emails, so many people who claim to be either connected to the area, connected to somebody, they know something, they've heard something, they've seen something, and, you know, I can't remember who it was. Someone had reached out to me, I'm going back some time ago, and I was claiming to be a friend of Brian Kohberger. He actually did the rounds, and he'd reached out to me, and I said, look, I'm not interested in putting anybody on my channel because I just don't do that, but I would happily send you some questions. I've just got 10 questions to send to you, and you can answer them, and then I'll do them on the show. Yeah, I didn't hear from them. They ghosted me after that. So they were all wanting to have a chat and have a discussion and come on the show, but then as soon as I sever that link, they then are not interested. And I believe that there are people out there. There's two different types of people. There's people who get a kick out of being involved in these cases and claiming to be people who know things, and they're just fucking weirdos. And then I feel that there's potentially people who perhaps do know things, or are connected in some way, shape, or form, but they are there to control a specific narrative or push a certain idea to try and get people off the real issues that are happening, the real direction. You know, it's like the shepherd leading the sheep. Come follow us over this way. No, don't go over there. I know it looks nice over there, but don't go over there. Don't go into the light. That sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Come over here into the darkness. But you didn't miss anything. For those of you who didn't see it, you didn't miss anything at all. I could go on, but it would just be garbage. It would just be garbage. It is garbage. Like I say, a lot of it was outdated. There was interesting things about some of the people around the case, such as Olivia, such as Steve Gonsalves, who had been... Steve Gonsalves, by the way, wasn't in it. Apparently, they had reached out to Steve. If I just bring this up here, get this down here. They had reached out to Steve. It said, we reached out, look, Steve does not appear in your series. Was that intentional, or did he decline your request to appear on camera? It says, we reached out and Steve had agreed to be in, but it says per Olivia. He was very positive about Olivia, but when we went to actually go film, his lawyer shut that down pretty quickly. And yeah, that's what I get. Probably for the best. But this here, look, so with this docuseries, you're giving the sleuths who you followed that much more exposure. Does that concern you? People need to see this because they need to know what's out there. We can't just close our eyes and pretend it doesn't exist. What doesn't exist? Yes, of course, this might grow platforms for some people who are a little unscrupulous and might not need the attention, but I think the greater good is to showcase what's going on to the larger audience so they can take part in understanding what's happening. So it makes you laugh when you think the likes of Bullhorn Betty, JLR, Olivia, and it's then turning around and saying, hey, we don't really want to give them exposure, we want you to see what's out there so you can avoid them like the fucking plague. Do you know what I mean? That was kind of it. But it is what it is. The Idaho 4 case is bringing out the rats. And the funny thing is, as well, is it's the likes of myself, it's the likes of JB Gunner when he talks about this case, it's the likes of Get a Clue. Did I say Jules? Getting old, can't remember. And some of us who are more open-minded, and we're the ones who get the flack, get the shit, and get called every name under the sun. And then there's some channels and some people whose pasts are questionable at best. And, they're like unsung heroes. And you think they're fucking maniacs, some of these people. Absolute maniacs. But yeah, Jeff, who's Jeff? With the backpack, who rang Steve because he is Brian Koberger's accomplice. That's the word I was looking for, accomplice. Accomplice. Did Brian Koberger have an accomplice? Join me tonight as we talk about it. I'll catch you all there.